welcome to This Week in Lakers Football. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside West Bloomfield Lakers head football coach Tyrice Grice, coming off a win to finish off the regular season against Ike at home. It was an interesting matchup from the jump. Very defensive matchup to begin the game against a fellow playoff team in Utica Eisenhower. What made the difference in that first half between it being sort of a regular flow of the game offensively for West Bloomfield and a game that was really going toe-in-toe with their defense?
Well, we had to focus more on the running game, not because we wanted to, because we had to. And when you don't have both of your quarterbacks, your starter and your backup in the game, defenses understand that, and they're going to load the box up. So it's hard to get to the second level when they load in the box because you can't count for that block. So we did a good job in terms of getting what we need and moving the ball. We just didn't execute in the red zone where we had some drop balls, and that would, took the game away from them guys. But they did a great job defending us. Take nothing granted for this team. They're a solid team. They got great coaches in their program. So you can't look at the teams and say, hey, we just going to beat every team. Every week is a tough team, and we get everybody's best game. So that's one of those deals where they're ready to come, and we're shorthanded as well.
It's a nice test, too, because you're this close to playoff time at that point, and you're trying to go up against as stiff a competition as possible before you go up against the stiffest competition possible in the entire state. And so let's go back and talk about the absences that were there on Friday for the Lakers, particularly Samaj Morgan didn't play on Friday due to rules after an ejection late in the game against Southfield A&T. Talk about how your team was able to adjust to being without their leader, another one of their leaders on the field in Samaj, a key player for that offense, and their resilience in being able to still have a quality game despite Samaj's influence on the field in the in-game action not being there.
Well, we knew we had talent on the team, and other guys have to step up, and we relied a lot on Kenneth Jones to run the ball. And we basically ran behind Brandon Davis-Swain, our tight end, and Amir Herring. So we was able to get the needed yards and make the adjustments. And the first half, they were doing some things to us and scheme-wise. And the second half, we recognized it and we made some adjustments and was able to move the balls consistently on them. And but they're a good team, and we're not going to just try to looking at film of other teams, other good teams. They held their own, and they're a good defensive team.
And defensively, too, it was quite the showing from your team. An early score from Utica Eisenhower in that game to put them up 7 points near the end of the half. But beyond that, more or less was shutting down that team left and right. And that includes throughout the majority of that first half. What was the difference maker for your team defensively against a well-tuned offense from Ike?
Well, we knocked their quarterback out, and their backup quarterback out. They were injured on some shoulder injuries, so they was done for the game. But the third-string quarterback came in and surprised us and hit us on some plays that we were not expecting. We was planning to run, and we made a mental mistake on that. And we always tell the guys that the only way teams are going to score on us is we miss tackles, bad angles, and miss assignments. In this case, it was a misassignment. So, but they're a solid team, and we just game plan and make sure that we keep them. Take away their best players.
Renzo Williams back in the lineup for West Bloomfield defensively, coming back late in the season and now back for playoff time. And that's with guys like Deontay Pippen stepping up and having really excellent games the past few weeks in the secondary and shutting down teams that love to pass the ball like Ike and Southfield A&T. Talk about the impact of having Zoe back in this lineup going into the playoffs.
Well, yeah, that's important to have your entire D-back coming back because the way we play our game. Pippen stepped in. He's a receiver, but he stepped in for Zoe, who's a D-back and is committed to Western Michigan. And people don't know. You talk about Pippen had a great game against Southfield. Well, Zoe is one of our best corners that we have in our program. So having him back is tremendous for the team and the morale of the team because what people don't know, we probably had 6, 7 starters out the last 4 or 5 games where one guy came back, another guy would fall down, and in some cases some of our backups. So we was putting pieces together, and those guys did a good job, and our coaches did a good job making sure the younger guys know what to do.
We're joined by head coach Tyrice Grice of the West Bloomfield Lakers. The Lakers defeating Utica Eisenhower last week to cap off the regular season. Playoffs begin Friday night, 7:30 at the Swamp against Detroit Cass Tech. And finally, Coach, looking back at the regular season and the progress that your team's made, what are some of the key points that you're most proud of in terms of the way your team's progressed from week 1 to the end of the regular season?
I think I'm proud of our perseverance. You know, when you're dealing with a team like ours, it's a lot of personalities, a lot of different mindsets, but at the same time, you got to gather all that together. And as we move along the season, we kind of gelling together at the same time. So I'm proud of, with the coaching staff, really putting these guys together and make sure we manage it right. And I think I'm proud of it. Each week it's a tough game, and we persevere, and the expectations are always high at West Bloomfield. So we make sure that, hey, we play our best. And going against a league with OA Red, which is one of the best leagues in the state. In fact, they have four of our teams is in the top 10, and we have 6 teams in the playoffs. So that's a tremendous a measurement of the OAA. So we play against that league every week. So we're proud that we stepped up to the occasion and played some tough games. None of those games was blowouts. They was tough games. They gave it their best, and we're ready to take this next step.
We'll take a break here on This Week in Laker Football. We'll talk to one of the captains of the team. We'll talk to another player that's been getting a lot of game action as the season's progressed and has had a great season himself in his senior year. And then we'll preview this week's upcoming game at home against Detroit Cass Tech. 7:30 kickoff on Friday. Bally Sports on TV, Lakes FM on the radio. We'll have our audio simulcast on Civic Center TV as well. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football. Snap the Pico, we're going to hand that ball off to Jaws. Shifts right at the 40, down to the 35, breaks a tackle to 30, to the 25, down about the 21-yard line. Going to be a first down and more. Kenneth Jones III.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details. This November, honor the many people who offer their lives for our freedom at the 2022 Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. Organizations, charities, and local residents are invited to celebrate the men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th from 9 to 10:30 p.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft, joined alongside West Bloomfield Lakers linebacker and captain Rob Harris, finishing up the regular season. Strong performance overall for the Lakers, and even last week a tough matchup against a fellow playoff team that's in your same region in the MHSAA Division I playoffs. What did last week's win do to speak to where your team is at and where your team needs to be in playoff time?
Well, I think we all understand as a team that collectively we're 0-0. It's a restart. We're not just 9-0 anymore because, it's win or go home now. So things are more serious than it was during the regular season. We have to be on our P's and Q's even harder. Everything is, is more business now. So I think, once, we've accumulated that together and, that's the plan, state championship.
Yeah. After last week's performance, very defensive, particularly in the first half. 7 points given up to Utica Eisenhower by halftime, but for the rest of the game, there's only 6 more points that were accumulated, and that was on the last second play. Given the performance of that defense, where does your team need to go to grow and continue to elevate its gameplay each week, knowing that you're going up against the steepest competition in the state of Michigan?
Everybody on defense just has to know their assignment and what to do in certain situations and just, keep their football like you. I mean, if we do that, we shouldn't have any problems. And our offense, they'll dominate any kind of way that they do. If the defense just does our job, which we did last week, I don't see anything stopping us.
Over the last few weeks, Rob, we've had some injuries that have come up, certainly some absences. Last week, Samaj wasn't in the game. We had Epps go down with an injury. We've had Lorenzo and other guys out. Kari Jackson, your linebacking core, has been out with an injury too. How does that affect both the approach to an upcoming game, but also those dynamics in game when you're mixing that first string and second string lineups together, given those injuries?
Well, one thing Coach Cam always does say is next man up. Now, I know that sometimes it may have, shortened the morale of the team, knowing that some players have gone out. But I feel as if those players, they show up with us every day. They're always in practice, even though they're hurt. They always bring the energy that we need. They're always there, and that is always improved. And it's like they never left, like they never got hurt. And I love those guys. I know I can't imagine what they're going through right now, knowing that we're in the playoffs and they can't play. But they still been there. Things haven't changed. RJ stepped up. Our original Hayes really stepped up last week. Deontay Pippen has been stepping up too. And, we have Zobek now. So, we have a lot of keys and a lot of pieces that's put together. And I still don't see anything stopping us, even with the injuries. So I just don't want anybody counting West Bloomfield out.
A lot of key players returning for this West Bloomfield Lakers team come playoff time and even in the last few weeks. And even beside that, with the guys being out, this team's been firing on every cylinder over the last several weeks. Excellent performances to finish out the regular season. And we saw an interesting night, and we heard an interesting story after the game on Friday. Kenneth Jones was telling us about a conversation he had at halftime with Samaj Morgan about where his head was in the game and how that conversation with Samaj kind of helped him turn the tide and really have an exciting second half that helped this Laker offense come back and really pull its punches against Utica Eisenhower in half number 2. From a captain's perspective, how important is it for you and for your fellow leaders on this team to be able to have that sense of one of my teammates may not be entirely there, may not be entirely confident or focused, or may have lost some of that along the way given what's happening on the field, and be able to intervene as soon as possible to turn that tide and rebuild that motivation going forward?
Well, I think all of us as captains have experienced a time where we're playing and things just didn't go our way and things. So, if we understand that, just being a leader is, stepping in and being different, uplifting your guys and letting them know that, it's okay. You still got this. The game isn't over with. And Samaj, he's a really good leader. He always speaks the truth. He always lets us know that, not everybody has an opportunity to do this, so make sure you do it with everything you have. And I think that's one thing that our captains are really good at this year is uplifting our teammates.
Rob, what sets this team apart from other teams locally, certainly from the competition you've played so far? What makes this team championship caliber?
The reason that we're a championship caliber team and that we're different from everybody else is no matter what we've gone through, no matter how many people we've lost, no matter what the media says about us or, what other teams think of us, we're still going to strive through. We've been playing hard every week. Nothing stopped us. We've only lost one game, and, because of that, we've been fighting every day. We've been fighting real stronger in every game that we played, and we were really hyped up just to play Cass Tech, this week because we always want a challenge. And I think that sets us apart because people want it easy, but we don't want it easy. We want to show the whole state of Michigan, this is still West Bloomfield football, and the caliber that it has is never gone, and it won't be lost.
A lot of high-caliber teams in this area of the playoff bracket that West Bloomfield is in. Certainly going up against Cass Tech in round 1 this Friday. Big game, a lot of eyes on it. Bally Sports on the TV side, us on the radio side at Civic Center TV and Lakes FM. And then going forward beyond that, teams like Southfield A&T, Macomb, Dakota, Utica Eisenhower also in there. Once again, plenty of firepower in this region of the bracket. And then, as you look toward the semifinal, I got Belleville, number 1 team in the state there also. So plenty of motivation for this team to show up each week and have exciting games. Rob, anything else you'd like to say as we go into playoff time and get ready for game number 1 this Friday against Cass Tech?
No, but I don't have anything else to say, Tyler. Thank you for interviewing me.
It'll all speak itself on the field on Friday night. Kickoff at 7:30. Our coverage will begin about 6:30 with This Week in Laker Football and then the Laker pregame show on the radio with Dave Scott and I this week, and you can catch the full game on TV from our friends at Bally Sports as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. Then we'll talk to head coach Tyrice Grice and preview this week's opening playoff game against Cass Tech from right here at West Bloomfield High School. You're watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football.
If your pet could tell you where you should shop for him or her, it'd be a place run by pet lovers. with hard-to-find food, toys, and gifts, with pet-friendly people and services, and great advice from people who really know pets. It'd be a place where his friends hang out, even that old guy, where there's a surprise around every corner. If your pets could tell you, they'd recommend Premier Pet Supply. But pets can't talk. Or can they? Premier Pet Supply, the place pets love.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside West Bloomfield Lakers wide receiver Jalen Jackson. And Jalen, it's been an interesting season for the wide receiving corps and for this offense, really seeing a lot of guys come up and down the depth chart and get a lot of playing time early on in the season. That's more characteristic of this team later on in the season and as they're looking for some depth approaching playoff time. What's that been like for you to have that experience to get a lot of reps on the offensive side of the ball early on in the season and become a sustained part of this offense?
To me, it was just a blessing in disguise. I joined the football team looking forward to becoming a receiver and looking forward to gelling well with my friends and my mates that I played with in school. And then as I got on the football team and I got to be a part of our program, our beautiful program that I'm glad to be a part of, it was just a great experience overall for me.
And with the successes that this team's having and having that increased role, being able to kind of spread the reps across the team on the offensive side of the ball, what has been some of the focuses that you and some of the other guys on the team that have been coming up that depth chart have really honed in on as you gotten later on in the season, had a little bit more expectations, a little bit more responsibility in that offense, and especially getting ready now for playoff time this week?
So a lot of our coaches, Coach Hilbers, which is our offensive person that we always go to, and Coach Rise is our offensive coordinator, and they've been really making sure we focus on our details, our route running, to make sure that we feel as loose and comfortable as we are, make sure we get into the film, study the plays, and as we get to playoff time, things are becoming to get more intense, so we just need to lock in more.
We're joined by Jalen Jackson, West Bloomfield Lakers wide receiver on This Week in Laker Football. Jalen and the Laker 23 each and every Friday, including this Friday against Cass Tech at home as they open up the playoffs. And as you look forward to the playoffs, you're going up against Cass Tech. That first matchup of the playoffs really does set the tone. It's a whole new season, a clean slate. Having to be up against a team like Cass Tech, a great program, one of the top teams in the state, and their 3 losses in the record doesn't speak volumes of what that team's capable of. How does that feel for you and for really your teammates too, coming into the playoffs to have that kind of a matchup in round 1?
So in round 1, we look forward to playing Cass Tech because as we know, they're a great football team. They're a great program. So we're just looking up to see how our program matches up against their program and to see if we're compatible and if we can hopefully come out with the victory after playing them.
A lot of eyes on this football team. It's certainly something that the community gets behind. Certainly the student body and the faculty here at West Bloomfield High School get behind the football team throughout the regular season, and especially when they're making a playoff run. But it's also nice to see off the field guys on this team getting their due honors for things that happen off of the football field. Last night, or earlier this week, you were honored by the West Bloomfield School District Board of Education, particularly by the superintendent for her monthly Superintendent Student Excellence Award. What was that experience like for you to have that recognition from the school board and certainly from the superintendent about what you do here in the hallways of West Bloomfield High School, not just on the football field?
With me being a senior at West Bloomfield High School and being in the district since kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, I was really blessed and honored to receive that award and be able to be a part of that award. So while I'm playing football, while I'm doing all of my extracurricular activities, I just want to make sure that I make our school, our program, everything else that I'm a part of, make it better. So I was just honored and blessed to be a part of that and receive that amazing award from Superintendent Bazzi.
It's great to see, and you can see that full meeting as well as the full reception of the Superintendent's Student Excellence Award from Dr. Bazzi to Jalen on our website, civiccentertv.com. Scroll over to our on-demand page, look under meetings. You can watch the school board meeting there and see all the great things Dr. Bazzi had to say about Jalen. Jalen, playoff time coming up this Friday. Any last words you'd like to say about this upcoming playoff season, words of encouragement to your teammates or anything to the community?
To our community, just please be there. Come and show West Bloomfield support. Tickets are limited, so make sure you get your tickets early. To say anything to the school, I just want to thank the school for everything that they've done for me and all the education that they've given me. And thank you for giving me the award. And to anybody else that is watching, just stay safe and stay blessed.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, Jalen. Jalen Jackson, West Bloomfield Lakers, wide receiver, coming up on playoff time. Kickoff is a little bit later this week, Friday. 7:30 kickoff. The game's going to be picked up as the Football Friday Game of the Week from our friends at Bally Sports Detroit. We'll have the radio call, the home call for West Bloomfield on 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, and on Civic Center TV with an audio simulcast. We'll come back after the break. We'll talk to head coach Tyrice Grice. We'll preview this week's upcoming playoff opener against Detroit Cass Tech coming up next. You're watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football.
He encourages his classmates to be responsible and respectful by being a good example and mentoring other students. Jalen is the type of son every parent deserves, the type of friend everyone needs, and the type of student every teacher dreams of. He shows a high level of commitment to his academics and is mature beyond his years.
Plan a day out, enjoy an exquisite dinner, or soak in the atmosphere at Orchard Mall in the heart of West Bloomfield. Between Maple and Orchard Lake Road, capture the moment at Frameable Faces. Wrap up your back-to-school shopping at Guys and Gals, or get presents for your pet at Premier Pet Supply, and so much more. Visit the Orchard Mall in West Bloomfield, and consider visiting November 26th for their Small Business Saturday. Orchard Mall in West Bloomfield.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside West Bloomfield Lakers head football coach Tyrice Grice. Regular season's over. It's on to playoff time in week one. Wow, what a big matchup for your team with a little bit of history here between the Lakers and Cass Tech coming in week one, a team that West Bloomfield's seen late in the playoffs in years past and some very long runs in these playoffs after playing Cass Tech in the past. But this is an interesting matchup because they have 3 losses on the season, but this is a team that's played in a tough league and has a whole lot of talent too.
Well, Cass has, you're right about that. They have a lot of talent. They play King twice every year, which King was ranked number 1 in the state, and they won 1 and lost 1, and they played a team in the OAA, which they lost to in Southfield, but it was a tight, close, wild, high-scoring game. So they're capable of putting up points. They're capable of doing little things, but I think our guys be ready for that challenge, and we're looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah, a lot of talent on this Cass Tech team, a lot of talent on this West Bloomfield team, and a lot of eyes on the game because of that, and because of the size and the storied history of both of these two programs kicking off the playoffs. Having those eyes on the team going into the playoffs. You've been on Bally Sports several times already this season. You've had a lot of these games that have been loaded with next level talent. They'll be playing college ball in the future, maybe even on Sundays in the future as well. But for this being the tone-setting game for the playoffs, how does that extra fanfare, those extra eyes, help you and your team or motivate you and your team for the playoff season ahead?
Well, when we found out that we were playing Cass, we thought we was going to play another team, and we found out we were playing Cass through the point system, and that's where it fell to. When I saw the players' excitement and joy to playing this game, that's what got me going. It got me excited about playing this game. And I told the guys, we don't want it hard. We want to make sure every day, week is a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. We're used to that. Some teams are not used to that. So to us, this is another challenge. It's another obstacle that we have to face and prove to the rest of the state that West Bloomfield is the team to beat and the team to win the state championship. But that's just talk. We got to earn it. We got to go out there and do it. But that is the goal, and I'm quite sure it's every team's goal that's in the playoff to win the state championship. But we got to get through Cass. That's the first round, and we're not thinking about anybody else. I think this is 2 story programs in terms of football and football success, and they're coming together. The last time we played Cass was in 2017, and we played them, I believe, in the semifinals to get to Ford Field when we went to Ford Field in 2017. And that game was a very close 9-6 score. That was a battle. So we're looking forward to challenge, but it's always a big deal, who you play that first game, and we're excited about playing this game.
The last few weeks you've been able to take some time, get you guys down the depth chart some additional action because of injuries, because of substitutions and whatnot. And your team's starting to get more and more healthy as you progress through the season, and now going into playoffs, coming back into the playoffs and in that week one, much more healthy than you've been in the past few weeks. What sort of benefit does that add to you to be able to go into these playoffs strong, knowing that you've had strong performances from your 2s and 3s in the last few weeks?
Well, we are getting some of our starters back. Of course, we had Lowe when Zoe came back last week, and he didn't start the game, but he played meaningful minutes to get him ready for the next game. So hopefully we have some guys coming back this week. We had one of our players practice yesterday lightly, and Epps practiced a little bit yesterday. He's still on day-to-day. So hopefully we have him back by Friday, and Rick practiced a little bit yesterday as well as our quarterback. It would be a game-time decision for him because he's still got the cast on his hand, but he looks good in throwing the ball, and he's ready. Once he found out we was playing cast, he was like, Coach, I'm ready to go. So that last week game, we kind of held a lot of guys out because of those injuries who could have came back last week, and we decided we just wait till the playoffs start and get them going. And they since it's Cavs, they really ready to get back here and play this game.
In terms of what your team needs to do to match up well with Cass Tech and to counteract the strengths that team has in speed and talent and athleticism and football IQ too, what really is your team honing in on this week to make sure they come out at 100% and really not only playing 100% but thinking at 100% on the gridiron Friday night?
Well, just make sure you know your assignment and do your job. And I tell guys all the time, the only way team's going to score on you is like I said earlier, is missed tackles, bad angles, and a missed assignment. So we can eliminate those three. That give a better chance of winning this game. But it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy because they up for the game, we up to the game. And at the end of the day, you lose or you go home. You win or you go home, You win or you go home. So if you lose, you go home. You win, you keep going. So we hopefully we win and just take one game at a time. Not thinking about the championship right now. Not thinking about the next game too. Our focus got to be on Cass Tech.
Cass Tech coming in 7:30 kickoff this week Friday. TV coverage courtesy of Bally Sports. Our friends over there will be on the TV broadcast. We'll have your radio broadcast, your home broadcast for the West Bloomfield Lakers on 89.3 Lakes FM with audio simulcast on Civic Center TV and the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook channel as well. Coach, any lasting thoughts as we head into playoff time and your team gets ready for Friday night's playoff opener against Cass Tech here at home?
We just want guys to come out and check the game out, whether it's on CCTV here in West Bloomfield or coming to the game. We need that support and come out and have a good time, and let's play this game.
Thank you for joining us, Coach, and your team each and every week throughout the regular season and now here in the playoffs as well. Thank you to our sponsors, also Premier Pet Supply, the Orchard Mall, the Michigan Week Committee, as well as Ken and Deb Macon for supporting our broadcasts all throughout the regular season and now also in the playoffs. That's going to do it for this week in Laker football. Again, Lakers kick off their playoff run Friday, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Our coverage begins about 6:30 all across our network, civiccentertv.com/Lakersports for more information and to watch back all their games from this past season as well. For Head Coach Tyrice Grice, our entire crew at Civic Center TV, I'm Tyler Kieft. This has been This Week in Laker Football.